Welcome, everybody. I'm so happy to have you here. And I'm also happy to be joined today by Phil and Lynn Brown. How are you guys?
We're good. We're good. The
Very
Bahamas is treating us well.
That's it. Looking lovely and tan and good energy. So I imagine the Bahamas is doing some wonders for you guys.
It's all good. It's all good.
Fantastic. So thanks for being here with me today. I wanted to share a little bit around your story and your business journey and how you help people as well. So just to give you a bit of an intro for people who might not have come across you yet on LinkedIn or other channels.
Sure.
Phil and Lynn, you are marriage coaches and you help young professional Christian couples to really thrive in their marriages. You are the founders of Are You Totally Alive? And I know you work with a lot of people in different ways. You have programs, you work with couples as well with the coaching that you do. And you've also been in this game for a while. You've got over 29 years experience, I think, between learnings and trainings and all the things that you've been doing. So, it's great to have you guys here today.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here.
You're welcome. So tell me a little bit more around how you guys got involved in marriage coaching to begin with and the kind of work that you do with your clients.
Sure. You want me to start? I'll start.
Yeah.
So I was a physician, an emergency room physician, and then an emergency room director, and then a lead physician. Really driven all my professional life to help people in one way or the other. As Lynn and I moved on in our own marriage, it became quite clear that we were struggling in our marriage, and we were pretty broken early in our marriage. And so we began to look for anywhere we could get help. We had no idea what to do, who to go to. And we went to counselors. We actually got help from our pastor or pastors. We went to some Christian ministries to get help. One particular ministry, and this is way back. This is another century, I might add. We attended a 4-day intensive, and we were so helped by what happened in those 4 days. Our marriage just did a really an about face. It was so good, not only for us as individuals, but it was so good for us as a couple. And we realized at that time, I remember, flying home back east and talking to Lynn, and we said, you know what's just happened to us needs to go to other people. We don't want to hide this. We want to share this. So we need to learn this. So it was the beginning of our journey to learn how to help each other. And really was probably the genesis of helping couples as well. So go ahead, Lynn.
Well, my background, I have a lot of things I did, but for over 20 years, I taught English as a second language to internationals because I have a real heart for people from other countries. And we also at church, I guess it was the helping aspect. I like to help people. So at church, we did a Bible study when we were struggling called How to Resolve Conflict in Your Marriage.
Which we had no idea how to help, or how to change.
We weren't even a team at that time. But after the study, we became a team, which I remember that really influencing me. And then we heard about a course of marriage coaching, which we both decided that would be really good. It would fit in. We've been working with couples. So we took it, and we've been coaching since then. So
the coaching was the last piece of the puzzle for us, or a last piece of the puzzle, because we're always learning, right? We're always learning new tools. But we have a tool bag that we've gathered over the course of years, and it just seemed that coaching was that last big piece of the puzzle to really, we could finally look at each other and say, now we're ready to start a business and a coaching business.
And we could use the tools that we trained up in before and bring it into the marriage coaching.
Yeah,
I love that. And I love sort of hearing your story, because when you actually kind of probably reflect and reverse engineer where you started and where you are now, there's lots of different links in there that you've probably not even realized until you're in it. And then you look back, and I think this is very similar for a lot of coaches or consultants where, they've personally been through an experience which they've come out the other side and they're now helping their clients. And that's really similar to what you guys do as well. And even, just the talks that we've had through working together, I love it because I look at it as a proactive thing for me. At the time of recording this, I'm getting married in a couple of months. So I'm kind of trying to be super proactive here to learn all the mistakes that people make and how to avoid them. But I think it's really awesome that, you went through it yourself and you have that kind of level of personal experience and vulnerability, in essence, with your clients to then, really understand what they're going through as well.
Yeah. No, we love it. And we're excited, by the way, about your upcoming marriage. So.
Yeah. That's great. And so from the work that you're doing with clients, what do you find is, some of the challenges that they're experiencing? So I've heard the two of you speak about this a lot. And so I'd love to sort of get your take on, some of the transformations that you see happen and what some of your clients and the results that they get at from working with you guys as well.
Yeah, the truth is that married couples don't know how to be married. They were never taught. It's not their fault. And so we clearly believe and have seen in action that couples can be trained. So just as somebody becomes successful as a business coach or a life coach or a marriage coach, or a physician or an attorney or a plumber or whatever, we can learn how to be married. And I think that what we've realized is, and what we love about this, what we're doing is that it's very, it's transportable. It's something that you can not just, you can teach and work with a couple for 12 weeks, 16 weeks, and then they can take it back to their own nest in their own marriage and repeat and do a lot of the same tools, because we take those tools and we give them to them, and so they're not tethered to us, forever. So, and I think that that's one of the most beautiful things that we see about this.
And when you said challenge, we were just working with somebody who they had a disagreement. They weren't talking to each other for a few days. And we were able to use some of the tools that were able to help them to understand, well, what was that trigger? What was going on there? And, so they can understand it had nothing to do with each other. It was something from their past or their parents or, whatever it is. And that's the exciting thing is at the end, they were, they're good talking again and communicating again and realizing that, oh, that was a trigger.
Yeah.
The challenge that we see in this particular group in career professional couples is they're striving to be successful in their careers. Above all. So they are really pursuing their careers so actively. Some of them become parents, young parents. And so they are striving to have the best, most successful kids that they can have. They are, everything that motivates them is something of excellence and success. And there's nothing wrong with excellence, right? We all want to be excellent at something. But it often, particularly for career couples, it's at the expense of their marriage. So what happens is the focus turns away from their marriage. And once the honeymoon disappears and they find out that they really don't know how to be married, it may not be conscious to them. Their marriage tends to drift. And so I think that some of the challenges that we see, what they feel is they may feel that their marriage is routine. They may feel that, we're successful in our career, but why? I have no idea why this isn't working. There may be increasing arguments. That's not uncommon. They may have a sense that something's wrong, but they often, I have to say, because they're so successful at what they're doing in other spheres, they're less likely to get help and they tend to put things off for a time period, which is one of the most dangerous things that can happen. And we've all done it to some degree. You put off that doctor's appointment because you're not sure what the outcome is going. What is that symptom that I have?
Right.
It's not too dissimilar from what happens, particularly in career couples. They are on, time is really going by fast. And so it's hard to slow down that wheel of time for them. And so what we find is if we can just get them to interrupt for a pause and begin to look at themselves in any way and let them know that, by the way, there's no shame and that you don't know how to be married. There's absolutely no shame. And in fact, if with an hour or 2 hours a week with coaching, you can actually go from what we call marriage drift, which is where you're doing this essentially. You're drifting from one another emotionally, physically, and spiritually. That they can actually reverse that completely, and it doesn't take a lot of time. And it just takes a certain commitment and some focus. So,
yeah, absolutely. And I even see that, similarities between, what you've just described there about people being really successful in one area, kind of has a bit of a hesitation to maybe work on another area, particularly even, people I work with who have had really successful executive or leadership careers in the corporate space and then go out to start their own business, and they put off doing that because of the same sorts of things. So definitely relate to that. And I can see definitely how your clients would have maybe that level of resistance as well. And I think it's important that you share there's no shame in it, because we don't get a manual for
no, it's exactly right.
Marriage or anything, right? So
absolutely.
And everyone's different. So
yeah. And it's funny because as you were describing, we all have some, we want to ignore some of those things that we don't know how to be successful in. It's kind of the way we felt about marketing and business.
Well, that's right.
To be honest with you, it was a tough turn for us as just a couple to turn towards that marketing and this whole, it's like Greek to us. And so here's one of our plugs for you. It's spontaneous. You didn't ask me to do this. Honestly, we've tried a couple marketing programs, and it never, nothing gelled. It was probably as much us to some degree, but nothing gelled as much as yours has for us. So in what we hope to do in marriages, you've done that for us to kind of turn us around and say, listen, you can do this stuff. Marketing and business, there's a framework you need to follow. And we can understand that. So, our hats off to you, Amy. Anyway.
There you go. And I don't even speak Greek, so there you go.
Either do I.
Somehow we translated things. But that's great. And I'm just curious, out of the two of you, was it someone's idea more so to start the business originally, or how did that come about when you decided, okay, look, we've been, working on our own marriage, like we've been maybe helping some other people, but then to actually transform it into the business, what was that like for you guys?
Well, I can start with that one because we always gave it away, which is,
our marriage coaching.
Yeah, everything we did in ministry was that. And it was, so to think about it as a paid business, it was a big challenge and a big change, but we've gone through because we're worthy of making some money at this because we have a lot of things to offer. And so, but that was a challenge at first.
Yeah, that was a mindset change for us.
Once
we got over that mindset, the fact of the matter is, all of this, if we wound the clock back, back by 2018, that's when I retired. And honestly, I had no idea. I had no idea what I was going to do after I retired, but I knew it was time. They say a great baseball player remains great if they leave baseball at the peak of their career. And I could see that that's about where I was. And so it was time for me to leave, but I had no idea what I was going to do next. And we were having dinner with a friend of mine who I used to play tennis with and his wife, and she had just become a life coach. And she said, well, I see why you're lamenting. You don't know what to do. I mean, this is really heartfelt, but I have an answer for you. You need a life coach. So she turned me towards a very well-known life coach at the time. And I hired on to her after getting to know her a little bit. And it was so powerful for me to take a pause and really look at my life more carefully and who I was, how I was wired and what I was wired. I learned things about myself in that 13 months that I didn't know about myself. And so I backed into life coaching that way. I said, you know what? I love what she's doing. It's a lot of who I am. And so I began to take courses at a life coaching institute, a pretty well-known one. And it was at that time that it became pretty clear that, whoa. In fact, the last advice that life coach gave me, she said, Phil, you have always made money from the man or the woman. That's where you got your check. You have never been a business entrepreneur. You have no idea what that's all about. So she said, make sure that the program that you get into is very business oriented. And it was, but it never equipped us enough. So, once again, out of our need and our desperation, we said, if we're going to do this, then we need to make it a real business and stop giving away what we were doing. We got over that mindset. And honestly, it's been, it's not been a straight line. To we need to do it this way, and we're going to be full steam ahead as a couple. It's been more like the path of a bat as it's trying to find its next morsel. They have radar and they go over here. No, the mosquito's here, and they go over here. That's the way it's felt. So now we fast forward here, and honestly, what was missing in the midst of all of this was momentum. We just didn't have momentum of how to be a business entrepreneur, how to do this thing. And so we backed into it. We're really actually getting to enjoy it now, that's huge for us. And I'm not feeling so that it's so Greekish that we can't do it now. So well,
that's awesome to hear.
No, that's good.
It
was you. Phil was more I used to think of him as the coach, but then because you trained for so long and everything in life coaching, but then I realized that I really am enjoying the marriage coaching part of it. I didn't want to do everything you had done, but what I did learn, I could use what I did know, the tools I had, and then add what we learned and just the LinkedIn and all the things. It's been really good.
Yeah. And I think the two of you, naturally have some really complementary skills as well, which works really well, in the business. And I'm sure there's things that, Lynn, you prefer, and then Phil, you prefer, but as a team, it all sorts of comes together, which is great. And I'd love to hear a little bit around, the marketing side of things. What was really sort of holding you back at the beginning, do you think, of not having that momentum that you needed, on your own initially?
I think we just simply didn't have a well-structured program in front of us that walked us. I mean, Lynn doesn't want me to use this word, but I'll use it. We were infants in the entrepreneurial space, and we needed somebody literally to pick us up and walk us along step by step. So this is what you do. If you want to get these people, and some of it was a little bit of trial and error. I mean, we worked in the Facebook arena first, and we realized that our niche, as we had niched down, and we really were comfortable with this particular these young career couples, Christian couples. We began to realize that Facebook is not where they live. They don't live on Facebook. And so it was LinkedIn. And then a friend of ours who we both know. Can I mention his name?
Yeah, you go for it. Yeah,
Winston Faircloth, who was just a great guy and very smart business guy and so on. He said, you really need something well structured. And Amy, you ought to try out Amy's program.
And he had such success.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
You've got some-
So that's what it was. It was a stepwise approach of kind of baby steps first. And that's what began to get us that momentum. Without that hand walking us. And it's funny. The teaching that you have, the program that you have is so well set up. The modular program that you have so well set up and so structured. And the teaching is so good that, we can go at our own pace, which we have. We're probably, I'm guessing we're the slowest of the current group, but maybe not. I don't know. But we've been going at a pace that works for us.
Yeah.
And I think that coupled with the fact that, you've got a great team. I mean, you guys are all very responsive, but we've got a question and we need to kind of know an answer. I'll have an answer at least within 24 hours.
Yeah.
That's really unusual. That kind of that personal attention. And I might add it helps. It's good to have, I think you, Lynn, had said that, although we really now are ready to spend more time in the group arena because the group calls that you have, but everyone we've attended has been really very powerful and helpful. So there's a lot there that once again gets us back to, we needed something really that would walk us through very slowly or allow us to be walked at our pace. And that's what your program does.
And someone within the group mentioned getting a virtual assistant, which we have now, and it's changed everything. She's really helping us with our marketing and our logo, and we work a lot with her, and she's got great ideas. She's excited about it. And so we were just bouncing around, and she just knew how to put that part together. So that was really good. Good advice.
I think the team that you have, and I'm not sure we know the whole team, but the team that you have is so good at what they do. We realize as we grow this business, and we'll do it as we need to, we're assembling a team. And so we have, it's neat to have somebody who's kind of gone before us who can be kind of a model for us.
Well, like the interview with your mother was just amazing.
That was awesome.
I love bringing Mum on. She loves it too.
Yeah. Oh man, bring her on anytime.
I Googled
that mother-daughter dynamic on the coaching calls. Is you would have that wife and husband dynamic sometimes too. It brings some interesting conversations up.
I have to tell you, after that interview you did with her, I couldn't sleep for hours. I mean, it was so energetic and so powerful. I wrote so many notes. I'm a born physician, and that my handwriting is awful, and so I couldn't even read my handwriting. It was so fast and furious.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. And I think it's really important. Like I love, working personally with the people that I get to work with. I'm very, very particular and choosy about who's allowed in as well, because I think that's a really important factor of the community that we've built and the team that I've built as well. And I agree, like there's so many great people behind the scenes that you guys don't even know about on the team, which are awesome. It's really cool. And we just love working with you guys. It's an absolute delight. And we've loved to see your progress as well. I remember our first conversation, and I think you would be happy for me to share that, you were sort of saying that LinkedIn was just this foreign land to you, and you weren't really quite sure how to navigate it, how to use it. But like you'd identified, you knew that your clients were on there. And so it's just a matter of like working out, well, how do I get this working for my business? And so I'd love to hear, like, having gone through that and gone from not knowing really anything about LinkedIn and starting to use it for the business, what are some of the things that you've noticed, or what are some of the results or the impact that it's had for you with your brand and your business?
I would say I was saying this to Phil before. I had a LinkedIn account, but that's all it was. Because I still have it. I found myself. It was so funny when I went to try to start a profile, and I had all these contacts and connections, and I didn't realize because I had forgotten about it.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous how I started out. But this was so just getting the picture and just being
the profile, you mean?
Profile, the working toward 500 connections, which I'm up to 350 now.
Amazing.
Which is, I mean, and then meeting people, even meeting people I lost touch with that got a hold of me. Oh, I might, we might be considering getting married, blah, blah, blah. It was really, neat for me to see the process, I guess you call it.
One of the results that we had, I mean, this is kind of neat. This was a gentleman who had been on Lynn's old kind of archaic LinkedIn account.
It was on healing because we dealt a lot with emotional healing and physical healing. So I wanted to connect with others like that. And then I forgot about it. And this man he'd signed, he was one of my connections. And so and then we got to meet with them or have a Zoom
they're
call.
marriage coaches.
Yeah.
So
but it didn't say that he was a marriage coach.
No.
He said, how did you know that I was into marriage? I said, well, I found you because of my other profile. It was just so funny.
So this past week, a week ago, we were in Fort Lauderdale, just doing business and stuff like that. Yeah. And we had connected with this couple on LinkedIn. And we hit it off immediately. We have some very common goals in marriage, and he and his wife. And so we met in Orlando, and we had lunch, and we're still working out what this is going to look like, but we're thinking of doing some partnering. He's in the nonprofit space, and so I'm not sure what that looks like right now. But we share a lot in common in the way that we look at marriage and how to help folks move with marriage. And we have the same passion for marriage. So, but what a neat thing that came. That would have never come any other way. I mean,
that's right. Yeah. And being able to build those connections that you do online and then transfer that connection to the offline space, go and have lunch or a coffee or something like that. It's only going to, strengthen your networks and relationships, and who knows where that's going to take you as well.
Yeah. I mean, and we've just, to be honest with you, because we've begun a posting program, and certainly we're following your guidelines,
videos,
and not just using videos more. We're getting a little more comfortable with it. Our technology needs some tweaking, but we're getting more comfortable with it. And honestly, in the beginning, it felt like we were, in Vermont, where we're from originally, we had 5 seasons. You had fall, you had spring, you had winter, and you had summer, but we had a 5th season. It's called mud season. It's between spring and winter. In summer, and all the dirt roads that are in Vermont, the frost comes out of it and it's mud.
Wow.
That's what it felt like being
stuck in mud.
For a while. But it doesn't feel like that.
It doesn't.
It doesn't feel like that. Posting is actually becoming fun. We're actually doing some things that I honestly thought we were going to have to send off to somebody else to say, let the VA do it, or let somebody. And you know what? It's really helping us zero in on the specifics of of the people we work with. It's really helping us focus on what our message is and so on. Yeah, we had a couple. We have people. We have what is called an intercessory team that actually prays for us, and they told us. They said, this is the year we believe that you need to take the tarp off your business so others can discover who you are and what you do, so that they can avail themselves of this. And I honestly think that's kind of what's now beginning to happen. We're kind of at the front end of that, so we're really excited.
It's so exciting. And there's lots of things that we've got planned for you behind the scenes for next year as well, to help you to do that. And were you going to say something, Lynn? I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, I agree.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I'd love to hear, what is the big vision for the business? Now that you've got the momentum, the traction, you're starting to get the message out there, people are starting to discover you, you're building up some partnerships. Where are you guys going to be in 2 years, 5 years? What's the big plan?
Well,
how about the 1 year plan?
The first? 1 year,
we can start with that.
Trying to think about, is it 40 to 50 clients by the end of next year?
Yeah.
we'd also like to take this to the nations as well. That's one of our, and to teach and train up others, like Phil said, because it can't just, and that's what this other couple we met said. It can't just, we can reach 30, but if we train up like you do, you reach some.
Yeah.
And,
So,
you know, so the training, we have some people interested in that. So.
Yeah, I think, you know, we're at a season in our life where legacy is like number one.
Yeah.
And we want to make an impact in the world. And we know that, like Lynn said, you know, you can train up 30, 40, 50 couples in a year. And in 10 years, you've impacted 400, 500 couples, not a small amount. But we don't feel that that's the calling for us. We felt for a long time that we were to train trainers. And because we honestly have been blessed with an amazing tool bag that is very transportable. And so we think in about 3, maybe 4 years, it'll be time to start walking into that and seeing what that looks like. We don't know what that looks like. I mean, you know, we've both been teachers. But we realize that it's bigger than us. It's going to take a lot more than what is in us, both, you know, experientially, skill wise, and so on. So, and, you know, to be honest with you, we're dreamers, but, you know, this coming to the Bahamas was a dream, you know, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And
well, that's my email, A Luther Dreaming.
Yeah. So we now are here,
right?
And you know, we've been very fortunate as a married couple to realize a number of dreams, and so this is just a bigger one. And so probably we think in about 3 to 4 years we need to really start packaging this and moving in that direction. So
or maybe sooner if I have something to do with it. No.
And by the way, it would be great to make a really, really substantial income along with this, because, you know, in all honesty, it's not just about us. I mean, a lot of what we want to do is we want to build up other people in other ways. And, you know, it takes disposable income to do that. And so we're looking forward to that as well. So we're very practical that way. So
I love it. Yeah, build the business up, and then you've got so many different avenues to expand and to impact more people. So absolutely love that big vision, and I really appreciate you sharing your journey and just being so open about it as well. I think there's a lot of people that are listening to this who, you know, perhaps are either at the start of their business journey or perhaps have been in business for a little while and are looking to expand and do some different things as well. So I think it's been awesome to hear some of your story, and what you've shared has been great. And I'd just love to hear from you as well. You've said a few kind words already for us, which I really, really appreciate. But for someone who might be listening to this who's kind of sitting on the fence about whether or not they should dive in and work with myself and the team, like, what would your advice be to them?
Get off the fence. I mean, do more than give it a try. I have been skeptical. As we said before, we've been through a couple programs. That for whatever reason didn't deliver for us. We take responsibility for some of that as well. But I would tell those people to get off the fence. We're teachers. We know what it takes to teach people to go from A to B. It takes a very, very well structured program. It takes really good teaching. It takes an openness to help people. So when you do have questions, you've got answers, and you're not waiting 3 or 4 or 10 days to get it, or you have to go through 3 people to get it. This is a very unique program that way from our experience. So I'd say just get off the fence.
And I was going to say, he wanted to do this other program he talked about. I couldn't get interested in it. Just wasn't, like the expression you'd probably know, my cup of tea. And, you know, and this one though, right away I said, yeah, that really speaks to me. The whole LinkedIn, I want to know more. So I would say definitely, I'd be a good person to talk to, because he was the one though. Yeah. And I was, well, let's think about it. And the other program, I really didn't want to get involved in, And I'm
glad we didn't.
This one, we're both connected and involved in, and
Yeah.
I would say do it. Yeah.
I mean, I
Get
just
involved.
the LinkedIn. I mean, if you're
Mhm.
interested in getting proficient on LinkedIn, and well, once again, I mean, we're still building our profile, but it's all there. I mean, it's just doing it. I mean, it's and I would say just sign up, because I think probably one of the real strengths of this program is that if you want answers, you're going to get them. And you're going, and if you can't get them in the teaching modules, which I think are fabulous, then you can get them somewhere. That is very unique to at least some of the programs that we've been through. So get off the fence.
There you go, jump in. And last but not least, where can people go to find you? So if there are some young professional Christian couples that are listening to this, and maybe some of what you've spoken about has resonated with them, where can they reach out?
Go to Phil's email, actually, which is phil@areyoutotally.alive.com.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, my profile is Lynn Brown. Phil is Phil Brown. Direct message, follow our posts and teachings on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Direct message LinkedIn.
So, yeah. And soon to have a website, but that's another story. We're working on that now.
Our website.
Yeah.
All good. Well, this is why you just jump in, website or not, you just jump in and you can still get clients through LinkedIn.
You bet.
Right.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Perfect.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks so much, guys.
Appreciate it so much, Amy. Thanks again.